Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Brother Hush. And I hope that you are buckled in and ready because Christine is going to drop a little bit of knowledge, give a little bit of her story, talk about her military journey, going from, serving in a uniform to now highlighting those who serve and have served in uniform. I mean, she's like a self-made like the future of publication self-made, I want to say successful publisher. I want to speak it all into the universe, but everybody, give it up for Christine Walker. Listen, if you don't know Christine, you need to know Christine right now. What you need to do is keep listening to this interview, and then on your side, like bar, your tab, you need to look up Addie's magazine. That's what you need to do. Okay. Devil Doc Publishing is is putting out this I have to say this great publication, and my light just fell. That's how great it is. You're just throwing off all my lights, Christine. I'm hyping it up too much. The whole room is rumbling. Okay. But yes, we're just gonna keep going with the flow. But yeah, you're the editor-in-chief of Devil Doc Publishing. And there's a story behind that, and all my US Navy y'all going listen, if you are a combat medic, if you're in that medical field, this is one of your kindred spirits, okay? And she's going to give us her history. She's going to talk about the transition from uniform to, just publishing this great magazine, Addie's magazine. She's going to talk about why it's different and why, if you're a veteran or a military service member or family member, you need to be in it. We're going to cover all that. But Christine, let's go into your journey, girl. Where did you grow up and why did you join the military?
Hey, well, nice to see everybody. I'm so glad to be here. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and Denver, Colorado was a great place to grow up. My family, I grew up with my mom and my stepdad, and I come from a family of, I guess now 14 family members are veterans or served at one time, all the way from my great grandfather, who was World War I, to my grandfathers, who both served during World War II. My great aunt served World War II in Korea. And then my uncle was Vietnam. And my dad was in the Air Force for a short time. And then my stepfather served in the Navy, and my brother's a Marine. So, and I could go on down the list, but I think that would bore you. So, it was just a natural thing for me to join the military. I was in high school, and I was not college focused at all. Not at all. And I'm like, what do I want to do? And I'm like, military. And and it didn't even occur to me that that was something weird. Um, I knew a lot of women didn't join the military, but I had female veterans in my family, so I'm like, why the hell not? So that's why I joined the military.
So let me ask you this much. I really want to get in deep with this question.
Mhm.
You served. What was one of your most enjoyable experiences in boot camp? We call it boot camp in the Army, but
Yeah,
when you
it
joined,
was
like,
boot
what was
camp.
what was one of your most memorable experiences? And why'd you choose the branch you chose?
Okay, so I chose Navy. When I went to the recruiter, I looked at Marine Corps, I looked at Army, I looked at, because I had family members in all of them. So why not? But I chose Navy specifically because they had hospital corpsmen, and hospital corpsmen could be attached to the Marine Corps. So I liked Marines. My brother was a Marine. And so that was kind of what I did. Plus, at the time, I was not an athlete. I was very active physically, but I was not an athlete. And I thought, no, Marine Corps is way too much. And, their boot camp's way too much. But Navy was pretty easy. And, I thought if I could just get through the running part, I got everything else locked down. My issue was at the time, I'm not that way anymore, but at the time, I was very tall, very thin, had super long legs, and I ran. It was not a pretty sight. Let's just say when I ran, it was just wasn't pretty. But I had a background in dancing, so sometimes I would leap because I could gain air and distance. So I was ridiculous, but I was really good at swimming. And so when we had our little company, in the Navy, you have companies, and during boot camp, during our company competitions, I was like, put me in the water and just let me do my thing. And that's what I did. And I got our company several ribbons, several banners for that. So my company commanders were less disappointed in me. So, but my favorite part was I know this sounds insane, and I was just talking to a story subject that we were interviewing. My favorite part of boot camp was, and it's for really wrong reasons, but was the gas chamber. And people are like, what? And I'm like, okay, you have to understand, I was Walker. My last name is Walker. I was at the end, in the back. I was one of the last people who had to state my name and my social security number and my rank and, all the things you have to do when you take that gas mask off. But I had a secret weapon. I was from Colorado. Now, if you know anything about people from Colorado, if you grew up there, we have a little bit larger lung capacity than most people, which means I could hold my breath longer. So I got through, I got done, I got out, and other than my eyes and my skin burning, I was good. However, the guys in our brother company, not so much. They all went to that big barrel, and just puked their guts out. Me and my sisters, we didn't puke at all. We were good to go. So anyway, that was one of my funniest memories.
Wow, wow, wow. So I have to ask you, what was your after you did boot camp, let's go into your journey, give me the year and where did you go for, we call it advanced individual training in the Army. Where did you go for A school and all that good stuff? And what did you like about that portion?
Let's see. I went in designated as a hospital corpsman. But what interesting, went into the military as a reserve. Now, understand this, at this time, Desert Shield was taking place in Iraq. So there was a lot going on over there. People were pretty uncertain about what was going to happen. And I was actually in boot camp when Desert Storm started on January 17, 1991. And they kind of fast tracked us because boot camp was supposed to be 9 weeks, and they cut a week off and cut a bunch of training out. And so they just wanted to get us out into our A schools. So when I got to A school, this is not a fun memory. I left Orlando, Florida, which is where our boot camp was at the time, and got on the plane in my summer uniforms. Yay. Well, I mean, they were my Johnny Cashes, but I was wearing a skirt. I wasn't wearing the long Johnny Cash pants, the black wool pants. And I had my peacoat in my sea bag, but, I didn't even think about going to Chicago in the middle. And it was February. It was February. And so I'm thinking, Chicago is going to be a lot like Colorado in February, right? Sunny. Oh no. Oh no. No. There was a frigging blizzard. Like, and the van that was supposed to come pick me up from the airport, they never got my orders. So I was stuck in Chicago O'Hare in uniform, in a skirt. So I changed out of my skirt, got my pants on, put my boondockers on, put my pea coat on, had to go get a cab. And all I had was like $100 in cash on me, right? This was 1991. Got a cab, and it took every penny I had to get to base. Like I had no cash left over at all. Um, I show up in uniform, and then I got yelled at because I was in uniform. And I'm like, you do know I just came from basic training, right? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you guys were supposed to pick me up at the airport and you didn't. And they're like, what? And so underneath a bunch of crap were my orders. And they're like, oh man. I'm like, yeah, I just spent $120 on a cab to get there, to get here. And I said, now I have no money. And they're like, well, you're not supposed to be off base, in uniform. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of funny because I just got out of boot camp and I don't have any civilian clothes. So they finally got me situated. I got into the birthing area where I was gonna be for a little bit, and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm exhausted. And yeah, and then the next day they finally realized, oh yeah, you are supposed to be here. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I am. So I went to Chicago, and it was a blizzard. And let me tell you, Colorado girl in Chicago, you think it would translate? Maybe not so much. I mean, we're used to that dry cold. Chicago on the lake is cold. I couldn't get warm for nothing. But finally got into my class, and got started. And yeah, so started military life.
Oh, I have to say, I, I would not be paying for my own way to the base. I would be like, where's the USO? Somebody's gonna come and get me. You don't got my orders? No, you gonna wow. Wow. In a blizzard.
Yeah, all I
Ugh,
knew, and it only took the cab driver. I mean, you know, Great Lakes is an hour from
yeah.
Chicago O'Hare, and it only took 2.5 hours to get to Great Lakes,
Wow.
and $120. Now in 1991, understand
That's a lot of money.
that
That's a
was
lot of
some
money.
change,
That
right?
was that was some change and some chicken.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was all my change and all my chicken.
that was all your change, chicken and the farm.
That's
So
right.
I have to ask, you get out of school, your hospital corpsman, and we don't I want to really dive into your journey as a publisher. But let's stay a little bit more on your military journey, just a little bit. Just I guess, go through your military history real quick while you were in service, and any memorable moments from that time, being, in uniform, and really kind of maybe any instances that were life changing or added to the character that is you, Christine.
Well, I got as I had said before, my brother's a Marine. So I got something very rare, which was brother sister duty. So he was stationed at New River Air Station. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. So I get there, and I'm hanging out with him and his buddies for a couple days. They had, again, no birthing for me. I'm like, really? What the heck is going on? But regardless of that, I ended up getting, here's something weird. I ended up getting per diem to live off base because there wasn't enough birthing, enough barracks for me, I guess. So I found this little hole in this little shack kind of thing in the middle of the woods in North Carolina. But yeah, I loved it. And my patients were great. They were Marines. They were coming back. Um, Kind of on a serious note, a lot of the Marines coming back from Iraq, we weren't told about the burn pits at the time. And we had briefings every morning that we were not to talk to the press, not to do whatever. And I'm thinking, what is going on? But we had patients, multiple, I can still see their faces today. Multiple patients we didn't know how to treat. They were coming back with stuff that the doctors didn't know how to treat as corpsmen. In corpsman training, we're taught, we're the savior, right? If we don't know how to do it, we'll improvise, right? We didn't know how to treat our Marines coming in with these weird manifestations of illness. And that was the hardest part because, but, you know, thankfully, for the most part, most of my patients lived. They didn't die from their exposure over there, but still, it was tough. It was really tough to deal with that day in and day out. But I loved it. I loved Camp Lejeune. It was a hoot and really enjoyed it. Fun fact though, I arrive at Camp Lejeune to have brother sister duty, right? Thinking my brother's going to be, around. Oh no, he literally got orders a week later to be deployed for the entire time I was there at Lejeune. So he literally got back a week and a half before I left. So it was good though. I loved being in uniform. I loved Lejeune. I loved my Marines. Will always love my Marines. It's just how it goes. And then shortly thereafter, I was done with the military and went back to civilian life and kind of became a a free spirit and kind of a hippie and kind of did my thing for about 30 years before starting the publishing company.
So yeah, let's talk about that, and I love the way you say it, free spirit, because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to arrive,
Right.
to your destination. So, you served in the military, you're doing your thing, living your life, and then you get a maybe I should do this moment. Let's get into the maybe I should come out with Addie's magazine and really, unfiltered military content. Like,
Right.
this is not nothing. I love Stars and Stripes. Nothing against Stars and Stripes. This is
No,
not
we
Stars
love
and
Stars and
Stripes.
Stripes.
We love Stars and Stripes. This ain't Stars and Stripes.
No, no,
Woo-hoo-hoo.
yeah.
Um, uh, where'd you come up with the idea of Addie's magazine and what spurred that moment?
Okay, so it's kind of a what led up to. Um, when I got out of the military, I got so much flack because either the older veterans didn't accept me as a vet or whatever. I literally pretended not to be a veteran for 25 years of my adult life. When they would call for veterans to stand up, I wouldn't stand up. When they would, I mean, it was one of those things that I was always put on the defensive. Here I am, I'm a female vet, but I'm not a combat vet. Well, lo and behold, kids, women were not primarily in combat at that time. That was before what 1994 when they actually started integrating women into the combat aspect. So for 25 years, I pretended not to be a veteran. And then I got involved with a veteran organization that I will not name. And it was great because I'm like, oh, there's camaraderie. Oh, I really am a veteran. I mean, I have the DD 214 to prove it, but for so long I pretended I wasn't because I just got tired of fighting. I just got tired of having to defend myself. I just got, it was just a lot of that. But once I started embracing being a veteran, I really just fell in love with my brothers and sisters, my veteran brothers and sisters. And I really have a phenomenal loyalty to my veteran brothers and sisters. And so I kind of went up through the ranks in this organization, eventually becoming a commander. I served as vice commander. I served as public affairs officer. The whole gamut. I did it all. And at the same time, I was working in a little newspaper. Never been in publishing before, but my boss was a surefire ass, but he knew what he was doing, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. So a friend and I started at a little publishing company and did a little community rag um, for about a year and a half. And I had to go into for like literally life saving surgery. And of course, this was in May of 2020 when COVID was just like, so I had no visitors, nothing. I literally was an hour and a half away from home. I had to get a ride there. They dropped me off. I was on my own. I went in, they did the surgery, and I was in the hospital for about a week. And then I was really searching because I was kind of, the community rag was cool. I still love my friend, but I was just like, I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing. It's not enough. My two loves are publishing and veterans. And so when I was in the hospital, I was doing a lot of soul searching and a lot of thinking. Lo and behold, here in Dallas, the Blue Angels came to the area. And what they were doing, I don't know if they did this in New York or anywhere else, but in Dallas, what they would do is they would fly by the hospitals in formation to just kind of give COVID patients hope, right? I didn't have COVID, but I literally was in a private room and saw the entire formation of the Blue Angels pass over my window. And I'm like, immediately, I'm like, yep, that's it. That's it. I'm going to start my own publishing company and I'm going to do something that's never been done before. And so I'm going to start a veterans magazine. And eventually, at first, it was just supposed to be like a little county vet mag, right? Because here in just 5 counties of DFW in Texas, there are over 1.4 million veterans here. So I thought, well, that's a good enough. And then, I had people reach out from other areas. And so I'm like, well, I'll do regional. And then I had people reaching out before I even published a magazine, reaching out from across the country saying, I really wish we had this here. And I knew there were other veteran magazines, but I'm like, well, we could take it national. And so we went national before we ever published our inaugural edition. And as we started publishing, I was getting veterans who, I'll write a story, I'll write a contributing story. And over the course of the past 2 years, it is literally morphed into a magazine that doesn't exist anywhere else. And it is a veterans magazine, 100%. We are 100% now written by vets for vets. So we're honest, often unfiltered, and 100% real.
So I wanted to harp on something
uh-huh.
because, like I said, this magazine is not like any other veteran magazine.
No,
And when you say unfiltered, which I believe is a good thing, it can be
yes,
therapeutic
yes,
at times. And I believe there is much therapy that can be done through writing. And like I use my show is my
right.
therapy. Um, so I really want to touch on that aspect because I think, the readers who you have, beautiful. But
Mhm.
for those who are like kind of on the fence, why do you feel being unfiltered is the purest form of authenticity?
Because number one, it's their voice. And who the hell am I, even as a publisher, to silence their voice? See, here's the thing. When you are writing your story, and some of these stories are extremely graphic. It's talking about, you know, on the battlefield, over in Afghanistan, over in Iraq. Sometimes it's just the nature of who this person is. Who am I to filter? Who am I to say, no, I'm sorry, you have to meet our standard to tell your story? I don't see any logic in that. I want their story. I don't want them to have to water it down so that it's appropriate for civilian. I don't want them to have to sugarcoat it. I want them to be able to tell their whole story, no matter what, and know that it's accepted. Now, don't get me wrong. We go through and we make sure sentence structure is good. We make sure grammar is good, but we do not filter out language. We do not filter out the graphic aspect of warfare. We don't do it. We won't do it. We believe that every veteran has a voice. Now, don't get me wrong. I have veterans who are really prolific writers, and they don't use language. They don't use a lot of graphic aspects, and that's okay too. But that is their voice. And we want to make sure veterans know, if you submit a story to Addie's Veterans Magazine, we're going to let your voice be heard in whatever form and fashion that may come. You know, we're not trying to put you in a box, and we're not trying to make you into somebody you're not. You know, and that is one of the things. We wanted something that was going to be really real. And as vets, I think we all have a pretty good backbone. You know, we're not, you know, sweltering little flowers. You know, we've seen it all, we've heard it all. I think we can handle it. So
Beautiful.
that's the
Yeah.
reason why.
So I have to ask you this question. Of course,
Uh-huh.
there are challenges you face, especially, you know, coming from a background where, you know, it doesn't sound like you were given $1 million to just start this up.
No.
It sounded like it took a lot of guts, a lot of patience, and a lot of grit.
Yeah.
So, Christine, this is that moment where there's another female veteran or another male veteran or a veteran who may not, you know, choose to identify as male or female. They may choose to be transgender, you know,
Right.
whatever lifestyle that veteran chooses. And they're just like, wow, I have a passion, I have grit, but I don't know how to get there. What got you to where you are today?
Pure discipline. And honestly, a lot of that discipline is what I learned in the military. It has taken a tremendous amount of personal sacrifice on my part and my family's part, because I did not come into this with $1 million, and it costs money. And now with supply chain issues and that kind of thing, our printing, you know, we have two versions of our magazine. One is our e-magazine, and that is online. All of them are embedded on our website, so we'll get that probably at the end. But we also have a print version, and in the summer, spring and summer, we're exactly the same page numbers. We're at 72 pages. We're full color, 72 page coffee table magazine. And when I say we do things with excellence, I mean we do things with excellence. It is heavy. The postage is expensive. And but our printing went up 41%. And I thought I was about to die. And so, because when we go to print, I really rely on people to be either already subscribed or, whatever. Because we don't have the money to just print, hundreds or thousands of overage. We just don't have it. We print basically, we're very judicious. We print basically what our subscriber base is, and maybe if we're lucky, we have, a couple dozen overage that we can sell or, hand out. So it was a little shocking because we didn't have our overage for summer, which really stunk. But for fall, we bit the bullet and we kind of, got that extra overage for print. But yeah, it's expensive. It's expensive, and there's a lot of cogs in the wheel that you need to keep in mind before you rush into the publishing world. A lot of people are like, well, just do digital. I'm like, no, no, because we cover every war era from, for those who are still alive from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, and then post 9/11, Iraq and Afghanistan. We cover 6 generations of war eras, 6 branches now. I have yet to do a story on Space Force. I'm still on the fence about those. But we have 6 branches and we have 6 war eras, and everybody's different. And believe it or not, 70% of our print subscribers are post 9/11 vets. And then I think about 20% are Vietnam era, and then the rest are Desert Storm. So I was shocked too. I thought Vietnam and Desert Storm, because we're the old codgers, right? No. The ones who love the print mag are post 9/11 vets. They love having something that's real and tangible and that they can pick up and put down, and something that they keep on their coffee table.
Well, that goes to show you don't stereotype your readers.
That's right.
Christine broke it down. Don't stereotype.
Right. Right.
So, I'm not gonna keep you too long. I just have 1 or 2 more questions.
Oh,
So I
I'm
wanted
good.
to, I know you're good. Devil Doc.
Mm,
Yeah. Devil
okay.
Doc Publishing. There is a story. I
There is.
promised the viewers you would tell the
Yes.
story. So tell.
Okay. So for my Marines and for my other hospital corpsmen out there, yes, I was stationed at Lejeune, but I was not FMF. I was not 8404 designation. The reason I was not 8404 is because there were no billets for female corpsmen at that time. I went 3 times begging them, I want to be FMF. And they're like, no, we don't have any billets. Quit, Walker, leave us alone. We're not going to have any female billets. I'm like, dang it. So anyway, the reason I named my company, the publishing company arm of it, Devil Doc, was one, I wanted it to be in honor of my fellow corpsmen who did serve, who were FMF, who were on the front lines, who did see combat. And so it was really important to me to honor my fellow corpsmen, my fellow docs. The other reason is because I love my Marines, and so I wanted to do kind of like a shout out to them as well. So it's not because I'm technically a double doc, but now a lot of Marines, because of what I'm doing and why we're doing what we're doing, they're like, oh, you're a double doc, you're a double doc. I'm like, okay, that's great. But, technically I was not 8404, nor was I in combat. So that is the story of Devil Doc Publishing. And just so all your readers know, because maybe some don't, Devil Dog was a name that the Germans named the Marines during World War I because they were so ferocious in fighting. Devil Doc is a term of endearment the Marines have given to hospital corpsmen who serve with their units. So just to clarify that.
Little bit of history.
A little bit of military history. And we have a
Yeah.
lot of military history in
Yes,
our
I know. Listen, I'm not spoiling any of this, Addie's magazine content for anybody. They're gonna go look for it right now. It's Googleable. I love that word. I make it up
It
all the time.
is.
Googleable.
But there are two Addie's magazines.
Yes.
Ours, and then there's one that comes from DC Military, which is a regional magazine that comes out once a month with their newspaper. We are actually At Ease Veterans Magazine. So all caps, At Ease, exclamation point, Veterans Magazine. So that's kind of our moniker. And you can reach us at theateasemagazine.com.
Christine, I didn't get to that part. I didn't get to that
Oh,
part yet. We have one more question.
okay.
Hey, I'm not putting up the banner now.
Just
I'm gonna put up the banner when it's right. So if you caught that, you caught it. If not, you're gonna wait for the official lower third. All right, I'm not deviating from that, Christine. She's like, you're gonna put the lower third when we're in double boxes? No. Because I had one more question.
Okay, what's your question?
As a female veteran, as you reflect upon that journey, and as more women enter service into the military, I want you to actually talk to those female service members now who are probably listening, or those who are about to join. And if you could just, reflect on it, and what would you say to someone that is still serving, or somebody that's thinking about serving, encapsulating your service as a female veteran? What would you say?
First and foremost, we're a sisterhood forever. And when you get out of the military, you will find your female veteran friends have your back at all times, forever. I mean, I have the back of all my vets, right? But my sisters, they're special. And embrace them now, because I know sometimes as women we can kind of be a little, I'm just gonna say it, we can be pretty shitty with each other, but don't be that way. Embrace them, because trust me, you're gonna need them when you get out. Because transitioning for a woman, even with the military, that they have now, they have all these transition services and all that. Let me tell you, it sucks. Transition just sucks for everybody. And I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. But you are gonna need your sisters. Because when I got out, I didn't have anybody. I didn't have my brothers, I didn't have my sisters, I had no one. So I'm kind of a mama bear right now. I'm like, gather in all my sisters. So the joys of being over 50, you can get away with that. But yeah, I mean, just embrace each other. Put aside whatever pettiness you may be feeling at this moment, but just have each other's backs. And it doesn't matter. I mean, when I was in the military, I never saw color. I have, embrace each other, regardless of what issues you may have with each other, especially active duty. Just put all that crap aside, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Just embrace each other. You're a sisterhood. And I guarantee you, the military who served were 1% of the United States, right? Less than 1%. As a sisterhood, girl, ladies, we are way smaller than that. So embrace each other, lean on each other. That's my advice.
All right, girl, preach.
Well, I
So
will.
now comes that time, Christine. So you are going to throw out the website, because I am going to put the lower third banner. Okay. And then, where people can follow the social media, like the at sign. And then don't put out your personal email, because if you have some people just emailing you, don't do that. That's not me. Okay, Christine.
Well, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Just look for at Ease Veterans Magazine, at Ease Vets Mag, at Ease Veterans Magazine. Any combination therein, you'll find us. Our website is the at easemagazine.com. I've not updated our Devil Dog Publishing website, but you can find us there also at devildogpublishing.com. I'm actually working on a Marine's book right now. So we're actually kind of gently testing the waters of not only producing the magazine, but also starting the process of producing some books. Only military though. I will only deal with vets. So vets and first responders, I'll do those too. So just check us out. You can find me on Instagram or on Twitter. We don't really have any followers on Twitter because I'm not much of a tweeter. Is that it? So you can see my age. It's not really my thing. Facebook is more prolific, but just check us out. Just Google us. You'll find us. I promise you'll find us.
Awesome, 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 awesome sauce. And I have to do my shameless plug. I do it
Of
every
course.
show. www.mbphikings 2017.org. You know what? It's right there. They get it every show. The banner's right
I
there.
know.
They're watching on like Facebook, and we got the podcast. We're on
Okay.
every like channel. Like, I mean, Google Plays. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, like all that iHeartRadio podcast. Let me put that on. Not iHeartRadio podcast, and Apple, everything, Amazon Play. Just the PHIner Life Show. Just look it up. You'll find it, and it's the PHINER Life Show. And I know I'm gonna just put this out there in public, right? When people pick up that next issue magazine, the winter issue magazine, there should be a little something on Mu Beta Phi, right, Christine?
So we're just kind of saying, yeah,
Oh, we're just, yeah,
we're just
to be
kind of,
continued, to be
yeah.
continued, to be continued.
But that means
But
you need to subscribe to the
yes,
mag.
you need to subscribe. You need to like look it up right now, Eddie's Veterans Magazine. You need to like check it out if you're into like unfiltered stories. This is I'm warning you now. I'm warning you. This is not your regular veterans
Yeah.
magazine. It really is not. You
Well,
know,
you know why
and
it's like that? Because we're not writing it to civilians.
exactly. This
We're
is
writing
like
it to
the
each
realest of the
other.
real.
Right.
Yes. This
It's
is
like it's like when you're in the military and you
yeah.
go and you're off duty and you go
Yeah.
get a beer with your buddies. This is the realness and the
And
rawness.
and
That's
and
what
and
it's about.
if you're not a drinker, then you went to the smoke shack. And if you didn't go to the smoke shack, you went to the PX. If you didn't go to the PX, you went to the commissary. If you didn't go to the commissary, you went to
Right.
that back little community yard, that surrounds the barracks, and everybody looks at you and they're like, "Oh, why aren't you at the PX? Why aren't you? Oh, you're dipping." You know, yeah, it's like that. It really is like that. So
Right.
if you're a civilian and you really, or your military spouse, and you really want, oh, military spouses, y'all really need to read this. You really need
Oh,
your husband, your wife.
yeah.
Woo! All right. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Christine, for being on the show. We will
Oh,
probably
thank
do
you for
a
having me.
yeah, we're probably gonna do another one, and
Yeah.
this will probably be about, publishing 101, because I know you gave a little tidbit, but there's somebody out there right now that think of like starting a magazine, they're thinking of starting a book, and I mean they need that instruction, that know-how. But
Yeah.
that's for next time. That's for next
Yes.
time. Yes. So, everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to the PHIner Life Show. It's your boy, Brother Hush, bringing you the latest and greatest. And thank you, Christine, for being on the show. Until next time, everybody, peace.
Bye.